Hey guys, we're mid-hunting season up in Alaska, and I just did a podcast with a buddy of mine, and I think it's really relevant to our channel, and we're gonna upload it here. And it talks all about flying Super Cubs in Alaska, how vital they are to the hunting aspect. We're always getting asked more about the airplanes and how they play a really pivotal role in the hunting aspect, and is all about my near misses, near-death experiences, screwing up in the airplane, all kinds of different things. And the podcast is called Coffee and a Hangar Podcast, my buddy Daniel Macaroni. And the YouTube channel is called Airplanes in the Wild. And you can check that out. We did this entire podcast, and this is just a short portion that's related to hunting for Stuck in the Rut. I hope you guys like it. Please subscribe. Go subscribe to Daniel's YouTube, and thank you for watching. Well, this has been the biggest debate. Everyone thinks I'm an outfitter, a guide. I run an air service, and everyone thought that's where I was going to go after I left the feds. Because I'm pretty good at hunting. I've done it for a long time. I really like it, and I'm pretty good at flying the Cub. I'm like, why wouldn't you just run an air service, be a transporter, anything like that? I'm just like, my biggest thing is if you're doing that stuff, you're not hunting. And I moved to Alaska with one goal, and it was to just literally hunt everything. Because for me, this whole thing kind of comes to fruition. I was the kid before social media and phones, we had magazines next to the crapper, if you guys remember. And Outdoor Life was a huge hunting magazine. And I remember seeing the guy in hip boots with a Super Cub and a moose rack tied to the strut. And I was like, that is my hero. I don't care about John Elway. I don't care about Brett Favre. I don't care about Michael Jordan. I'm like, that's who I want to be. And the really cool thing, I think, hope will inspire people from this is I worked really hard and I busted my ass, but this is normal now. That was my goal, and I do this all the time. That's my 15-year-old daughter with probably the biggest moose I'll ever see, and it's the first moose she ever shot this year. So
I remember seeing a picture you had of this moose rack that was is that the right term? Did I use the right term?
You're doing great.
Fuck, so nervous right now. That was just so huge. I don't think it was that one. Maybe it was. Is that the biggest one that is the biggest one you've ever seen?
Yeah, it's 73.
But you're a tiny guy, so in comparison.
Yeah, and she's not a very good hunter. It's only her first hunt ever for moose, and so she was able to get it done instead of the fifth hunt or sixth, or whatever,
I didn't have you, okay?
Yeah, and I was going for a legal moose, and which is 50 inches, which is a really mature trophy-sized moose. And that one stepped out, and I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Not let my kid shoot this? But she's never going to top that, most likely. That's incredibly huge.
I think that's perfectly the right decision. What else are you going to do? Shoot it yourself?
You got to be a real coward, to shoot it yourself and push your kid down and take the gun. I could never live with.
Get out of here!
Yeah. Daddy's never shot a moose this big. I mean, yeah. For reference, they go off score, Boone and Crockett score. That moose scores 254 inches. When you add everything up, the biggest I've ever shot is 231. So it's substantially bigger than any moose I've ever shot. And I'm kind of known of being a big moose connoisseur. That and dick bones, So, yeah. The Cub is really essential for flying in Alaska because there's no roads. And I knew that moving up here. And as we were talking before this, I still find that perplexing. The people of oh, it must be nice to have a Cub or this and that. If I only had a Cub, I could kill big moose too. And if I only had this, I could do that. And I'd ask those people, why do you not? You grew up here, you're born and raised. There's 3 roads in the state. Some are very long, but there's so many roadless portions of the state. The only way to access that is with a set of wings. And a Super Cub is the most realistic thing to strapping wings on your body and going and becoming one with the airplane. And I love flying and I love hunting. When you combine both those together, it's just the ultimate peak. It's the ultimate drug, right?
But what if they don't have money to buy a Cub?
I didn't. I had a 2008 6.4 diesel pickup that I had bought and saved up for, because I needed a pickup in North Dakota and stuff. And it wasn't very good. It wasn't all super modded out or chipped or anything. And I sold that for 20 grand. I think I paid 15 for it, sold it for 20. Used that money to finance my Super Cub, and I made payments because I didn't have any money. And I said, well, this $90,000 Cub's going to cost me $125, and I'll have it paid off in 15, 20 years. But I want to hunt now, and I want to fly now, and I need it now, so I did. And I paid it off in 3 or 4, remarkably, thanks to my wife, because she's way better with money than me. But you don't need money. You have to prioritize your life. Do you want fancy jet boats? Do you want all the 4-wheelers? Do you want snow machines? Do you want nice cars? I didn't want a truck payment. So I moved to Alaska with a 1996 Chevy Lumina. It was a junker car. My father-in-law got it for $800 in auction, and I rode around that thing for 3 years. But I had a badass airplane, and I'm like, I'll have an airplane payment, but I don't care about a truck. I just need the car to get me from here to where the airplane is, and then I'm going to go adventure and explore all of Alaska.
Yeah, now I feel like I agree with you that you just make it happen. You say, this is the life I want to live. I'm going to do it. I also think, and I don't know who my audience is at this point, but I get the idea that they all have that positive mindset of like, I'm going to do the life I want to do. But there are people out there that would be like, Will, that must be nice, you know?
I get it all the time.
Right.
If I only had a Cub. And my personal trainer said this on a podcast, and I really like it. And I listened to it the other day because we listen to a lot of podcasts when we fly because we're just staring at a windshield the whole time. And it was, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And that really hit home with me. Like, you have the same 24 as me, so do you, and so do you. And so it's like no one gets more time. It's how you utilize and prioritize that time is great. My dad didn't own an air taxi.
There are things that can give someone a leg up.
Yeah, my dad didn't own an air taxi. I wasn't born in aviation.
Yeah, but you were raised on a golf course. Come on.
Yeah, I was raised on a golf course.
I mean, that's pretty.
So my parents had money to help me put through flight school, and I put some money to help push me through flight school. That being said, like, what does it cost to get a pilot's license? 10 or 12 grand?
Yeah, it's not a huge amount.
Yeah, people spend that at the bar or more, twice that every year. Or cigarettes, or dip, or going out to eat, or whatever, or on truck parts. And so I just tell people, like, it's how you want to prioritize your life. And then I tell people, you have to fly all the time. I fly 350 to 400 hours a year in that Super Cub. There's nothing to do in King Salmon. So, like,
well, and if you're going to do the kind of things you do, and you're not a professional, meaning you're not doing it for money currently. You're a professional, but you're not currently doing it for money. You've got to fly a lot. You got to figure out a way to do it.
But I go a lot.
Yeah.
I push myself to be a master of aviation in that thing. And like I said earlier, like, every mission's like mission driven. So with hunting, I love to hunt. I love the access the airplane gives. A lot of people, and I get this a lot, and I've never talked a whole lot publicly about it, but a lot of people, they think having an airplane is just easy because you fly around, you can't hunt the same day you fly. You probably know that at least. And you do know that, right?
Of course.
Okay, good. And so it's not sporting. But you fly around, you see a moose, and then you land right next to it. You wake up the next morning, the moose is standing there, you shoot it, and you taxi over there, and you just pick the moose up and you go home.
Simple.
That doesn't work that way because moose move, and you're hunting moose in the rut. Like in
September. It's almost better to have a four-wheeler in that sense. I mean, other than getting out there. If you had a four-wheeler, it'd be like, fuck. Right?
Yeah, I've talked to people about this, and I've actually heard people, and I agree with the argument, like, we should make the same rules for four-wheelers. You can't drive your four-wheeler the same day you hunt and different things like that. People might change their aspect on the whole, oh, it's illegal, it's not fair chase with the airplane, different things like that. But I just tell people, like, when I lived in Idaho, we would go and we'd hunt. We'd have 6 or 7 different spots, right? And driving up, you'd pull over and you'd look and see where the animals are at and see which place you wanted to hunt. It's the same thing with an airplane. You know roughly where the animals are going to be in moose season. You're going to go out there. You've done some pre-season scouting. You know where you can land. You know where you're going to keep your airplane so it doesn't blow off the side of a mountain. And you look for animals as you're flying into these different places. Okay, there's some cow moose here. There's some bulls up there. We could kind of be in between them here. Okay, this spot's not showing anything. There's not as much feed this year, or there's too much water and it's all swamp. And you look at all these different places and you put yourself into a game-rich environment. You're not saying, that's the moose I'm going to kill right there. I've killed some really big moose, and I spent a lot of time moose hunting. I probably packed over 20 of them out. And a lot of it's just doing a lot of scouting, like pre-season, like seeing where the cows are, seeing where the bulls are, and I try and put myself kind of in between them, you know, because it's breeding season.
Anything like this, it requires you to develop simultaneous skills that then come together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, you've got to be able to spot a place to land. I mean, that's a skill in and of itself.
That's a really big struggle. But I think people struggle with me. I didn't move up here to make friends, but I think a lot of people see a kid coming from Idaho that moves up here, buys a Super Cub, and then just starts shooting big moose. Like, they didn't see all the time and effort I put into play. Like, every September, taking fishermen out, seeing giant moose on the side of these hills. I'm like, I could put a Super Cub there. I've watched the Super Cub videos. I could land here, right? You know? And I saw this, and I was building this dream and this plan, and I had it all set, and I just needed to put the final piece into motion, which was live in the middle of nowhere that has big moose and big brown bears, buy a Super Cub, and marry a dime piece that wants to live in the middle of nowhere. And I did all that, and now I'm kind of like reaping the benefits of all that, but I already knew how to hunt. So that portion was like, that was over.
Yeah.
I kind of knew how to fly, and the feds kind of taught me how to develop that off-airport skill set. When you're getting in the tundra, it's kind of all bets are off because there's not hardly any gravel bars where I'm at. There's some ridge tops you can land on and stuff, but you're not going to keep an airplane ever on top of a ridge in Western Alaska because it'll blow away. And so you're looking for small little pieces of tundra that are pretty rough, pretty short, pretty soggy. And
Can you talk about the tundra flying? I don't know much about it.
Yeah, most people are terrified about it.
Tell me all the secrets.
The biggest secret I can tell you is the more time you can spend outside, the better, because you know.
Outside walking around.
You know, whether you're hunting, you're hiking, you just land up here and say, I'm going to walk down here because I think this is a good spot and check it out. And that's really good. If you can walk somewhere before you land, that's really key. I don't really have that ability because I have to look at a place and say, the tundra is this color. I might be able to drag my wheels on it. It looks like it's hard enough and it's not super swampy underneath. And it looks like it's long enough because I can time it. And I think I can get in there. And I have to evaluate all this while flying the airplane at 50, 60 miles an hour, and then eventually just go in there and make it happen. But you learn to read the colors, like yellow lichen is usually pretty good. Some reds are good. Some colors of green. It almost looks like the back of like a SOS pad, you know, the scrub sponge, and that's yellow on one side and green on the other. That kind of tundra is really pretty good. But it just
Are these hard and fast rules?
No. These are things that I've found, so don't take anything I say in this podcast as instruction. These are just my screw-ups and my observations.
Well, it is interesting to hear you say colors, because then it's like, well, maybe I'll go out and test these theories on my own and go, well, what colors, like, pay attention to colors at least. Like, if there's nothing else I get from this, is colors is one
But you
thing.
can't go based on all that alone because there's some, like, blueberry bushes that look really similar in different color lighting to the green stuff that's always rock hard. And I've been into situations like that before where I literally thought I was going to need to get a helicopter to get the airplane out because it wasn't moving. Full power on 35s and it's stuck, like you're not moving at all.
Yeah.
And I've been stuck probably 5 or 6 times in a Cub.
It's stuck because it's just that soft?
Yeah, like you're not moving.
Like it's that really soft tundra that you walk on it, you kind of sink down into?
Like your knees are going to your chest and you put an airplane in there and you're like, this is not a good idea. And that's hard to get an airplane moving at that point. So you're draining all your gas, you're throwing all your stuff out, you're giving it to a buddy to move somewhere else, and you're just trying to get out of this one spot. And it's very difficult because you can't really accelerate more than like 10 miles an hour full power. And so I've been in situations like that, and you learn not to go back to places that look like that. But that just comes with experience. Tundra is really difficult on how to read. None of it's usually that smooth. And I've been in there's a picture on here. I've been in that showcased the one that the airplane's kind of up on its side, and I was stuck there.
I think this is the one that you were talking about where it's just like down in a hole. Is that the one?
Yeah, I got stuck there. I landed there.
It looks super, I mean, it looks like you're in a hole there, but it looks super doable everywhere else. But it's amazing when you look at a terrain like that. To me, it just looks like you could land anywhere.
Once.
But I mean, I've been in these situations where I'm like, I'll find somewhere to land, and I go flying around for an hour and I never find anything.
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty keen eye for it because it's like gravel bars aren't existent down there. So if you want to utilize an airplane, and it's not a very good spot for wheels. And people told me that, and I knew there was going to be competition with float planes, so I didn't want a float plane. I wanted a wheel plane where I was going to be living, working for the feds. I was going to have to figure it out. So I just kind of started slow, and you start slow into places that are like well known, like have some wheel tracks and tundra, that yellow lichen that's usually a lot more favorable and flat, you know, and then this stuff gets pretty gnarly. But that being said, like I was flying Top Cubs with 31s and bungees for the feds, and then I'd go and fly my Cub with shocks and 35s, and you definitely need both those mods to really be doing the rough tundra stuff. Otherwise you're bending a lot of stuff and breaking things, you know.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago I landed in that little spot.
I like spots like this because it's like, well, it's a different color. You can at least see where it is.
Yeah, if you see that, you're good, you know. But even this stuff here, like this color stuff, for me is pretty hard. You know, just the way the wind was blowing. I bounced it pretty good here. But that was a short one here. It was like 200 feet, I think, to that one.
What do you weigh?
250 now. It's probably 260.
Dude,
265
that's the
now.
other thing that amazes me. Like,
That I can fit?
well, no, not that you can fit, but it's like when you think about flying an airplane, I get this thing light and I go do the shortest strips I can or whatever. I weigh 100 pounds less than you.
I know.
So it's like, how are you doing so much better than me? And it just shows how much of it is like skill and experience.
Well, I got a lot more screw ups, dude, and a lot
Yeah,
more
yeah.
experience, you know?
Anyway,
But yeah, that's just, I mean, that was a pretty easy spot. I had
Yeah.
like 10 knots of wind or something like there. I was landing to pick up a caribou. But on the flip side too, right back to hunting, that's trapping, Wolverine trapping on skis in the winter. You can see how much snow we get, hardly any down in King Salmon. It's pretty brutal. But also the great thing about an airplane is too, when you shoot something like a caribou or whatnot, caribou usually live in pretty open country.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of times I'll pack out a caribou.
You'll just go fly next to it.
Well, in that case, I've killed the caribou and I have it, and now I can find a 300-foot spot and walk it. And then I know I'll put some game bags out and some markers and say, this is perfect. I've already walked it. It's good. There's no evaluation. I'll come by. I'll do one approach and say, yeah, everything still looks good. I like the way it looks to me, and I've walked it. And then I go back in and I land. And it's perfect.
That's very low risk.
Very low risk. As appealing to as opposed to the other side, when you, as far as you know, an airplane's never been here, which to me is like the ultimate, like I could be the first boots to ever touch this piece of dirt, which is really, really cool to me. But you're going in and you're betting on yourself. You got your tools, your skill set, and your machine. I don't fly with anyone else. I'm always by myself. I don't have a wingman. There's no one down there to really be a wingman. Like I would say 95% of my hours are spent flying by myself. And you're counting on yourself 100% of the time, which is pretty interesting.
I love it.